Thank you, Paul. There may be a reason why you put me on after the 9 o'clock watershed. Tonight's theme is body, mind, spirit. Those of you who know me may expect me to tell you a story about the spirit. After all, I do live in a house called the Cloisters. Or if not the spirit, you may expect me, the former Oxford Don, to tell a story about the mind. But no, I want to tell you a story about the body, my body. Relax. I will not be doing a reprise of my autobiographical show, which was called Cut, Adult Circumcision for the Uptight. Tonight's story is about my dress in the workplace. When I was a student at college, I liked to wear bright clothes. Jumpers with rainbow stripes, trousers with legs rolled up to reveal orange socks, and colourful shirts. Like this shirt I'm wearing tonight. This cotton shirt of pink and orange squares. I bought it in a second-hand shop in Dublin in the mid-1980s. It says on the label of the shirt, Seidenstecker. Seidenstecker is a German word meaning silk embroiderer. Seidenstecker is a well-known shirt brand in Germany. Even today, you can Google Seidenstecker shirts and will read online, and I quote, "Since the foundation of the Seidenstecker Group in 1919, Seidenstecker shirts, created with great passion, seized the spirit of the time without submitting to fast-moving trends." I could never be accused of submitting to fast-moving trends. The brand is positioned in the formal and semi-formal segment with business and festive looks, as well as sophisticated options for every occasion. Note, it says formal and semi-formal option for every occasion. How could I go wrong? Fresh out of college in 1986, I joined the civil service. I know that may surprise you, but I was a civil servant once, an executive officer in Ireland's Department of Communications. Many boys dream of being an airline pilot. I wasn't one of those boys. Therefore, I was somewhat surprised as a youthful civil servant in Dublin to be assigned to be secretary to the airport's construction committee. Every morning, my clerical assistant would bring to my desk a pile of dusty manila files stuffed with correspondence on Ireland's airports. Each evening, I would hand her back a slightly heavier pile of files. This was the 1980s, and Ireland was in recession. Money was tight, and very little actually happened at airports construction. The most exciting item I could hope to cross my desk would be something like the upgrade to baggage reclaim facilities at Cork Airport, which wasn't very exciting. One day in spring 1987, my line manager announced that we were to have a new principal officer. I knew from her voice when she described him that she was fearful. He was from outside, from the no-nonsense Department of Finance. He was not from rural Ireland like most civil servants, but was a Dubliner. She intimated that he was a bit less refined than his elderly predecessor. A colleague whispered his nickname to me. His nickname was Rambo. Rambo was the lead character, a tough USA Army veteran, in the 1985 movie of the same name and played by Sylvester Stallone. Rambo's office was on the floor below mine, and I was summoned to meet him. He filled his office, his bulging flesh bursting through his white shirt and heaped over his buckle. His conversation was peppered with expletives in the Dublin working class vernacular. Thick black hair brushed to the side of his sweaty forehead. He oozed testosterone. With a single command, Rambo cut my daily diet of boring manila files. Red tape was slashed and littered the floor. Thin-skinned managers yelped and scampered. Our next meeting of the airport's construction committee was short and efficient. It went well, so I was surprised when Rambo again summoned me to his office. What could I have done or not done? Rambo drew my attention to the two Irish military officers on the committee. Normally, I'm partial to a man in uniform, but these middle aged male officers looked rather dull and had barely noticed them. Rambo told me that they had been unhappy with my dress. I hadn't been wearing a dress. Rambo growled at me, "Wear a proper shirt and tie." I was dumbfounded. A proper shirt. Obviously, these Irish military officers didn't appreciate the beauty of Seidenstecker. Or maybe pink just wasn't their colour. I calmly explained to Rambo that this was the way I dressed. I was clean and tidy and just a bit colourful. Rambo wasn't having any of it. He impressed on me. "You're in the civil service now. You're in the civil service now." I was reminded of the hit song of the previous year by the band Status Quo, "In the Army Now." I was starting to empathize with the original Rambo character in the Sylvester Stallone movie, returning to small town America, not looking for trouble, coming up against a local sheriff and military who didn't like any man with an independent spirit. At the date of the next committee meeting loomed, my line manager dropped hints about me wearing a conventional shirt and tie. However, I recalled some of the thinkers I had read at college during my degree in history. Writers like John Fugel, who in the 1930s was a member of the Men's Dress Reform Society. The Men's Dress Reform Society pointed out that by the early 20th century, men's clothing had become depressing. They claimed that since the end of the 18th century, men had been ignoring the colourful, elaborate, and varied forms of masculine ornamentation. Maybe I was just doing my bit to restore some healthy masculine ornamentation. On the day of the meeting of the airport's construction committee, I turned up for work wearing this very same Seidenstecker pink shirt. 10 minutes before the meeting was due to start, and my line manager was exchanging anxious glances with my clerical assistant. I picked up my manila file and shoulder bag, headed for the meeting. I stopped off on the way and popped into the gents. I stepped into the cubicle and I closed the door. I unbuttoned my shirt. I stripped off my colourful shirt. I put on a white shirt. I took out a necktie with blue and black stripes. I tied it around my neck. I stepped out of the cubicle. When I entered the meeting room, I thought I saw Rambo and the military officers smirking with satisfaction when they noticed the newly arrived eunuch. I felt I could almost hear them say, "You're in the civil service now." I never liked this tie. Uh, During the meeting, I glanced enviously at my female colleague. She was wearing a colourful blouse without a tie. After the meeting, I returned to my desk. I retrieved the civil service memo, which had been circulated about the redeployment of staff. My line manager scoffed at the idea that anyone in our department of communications might be willing to voluntarily transfer to the very busy Department of Social Welfare, which dealt with the unemployed. However, I wrote out my application for transfer and sent it in the internal post to Rambo. His reply bounced back. He would not release me. Later, I heard a furious barrage of expletives from the floor below, or so I imagined, as I was the only person from the entire staff of the Department of Communications who had volunteered for the redeployment, and someone had to go. My request had to be approved. I enjoyed working in my new Department of Social Welfare, and my new principal officer and I worked well together. My new colleagues admired my colourful Seidenstecker shirts.
Oh my goodness. I did not expect that. Was that written on your script originally? The
I know
camera.
there were people who were expecting me to strip on camera, but they'll have to wait to another occasion.
Well, if we ever do a 10 by 9 after midnight, I'm sure you can take part in that. That was brilliant, Richard. That was so funny. For those who are not familiar with Richard, you can see him on our YouTube channel. You can hear him on many of our podcasts. He is king of the props. And this is what I'm going to ask you before before you told your story. Have you been coaching some of our storytellers tonight? Because there were quite a few props brought in. I was wondering if you'd been working on them.
No, just a positive example, that's all. For the
Well,
development
that was
of Irish storytelling.
brilliant, brilliant. Richard, thank you so much. And thank you for helping to organize this as well, along with Annette. Um, what an amazing evening for us all. Certainly, it's been an amazing evening for me. Um, please be sure to put your messages into the chat box. And if you've messages for the storytellers, or if you just want to say hello, let us know where you're from if you haven't already. What a brilliant night, as I said. We learned that it's okay to wear what you want, but you might have to think twice when mother or the groom. We learned don't go for surgery when you need a pee, and don't go for a pee after surgery. Um, we learned what's in a name. Well, quite a lot when you share it with a fascist who hates you. Also, it's never too late to change your life and get to meet the Queen. And even in the midst of sadness, we can honor those we've lost. We also learned the future isn't to be found at the bottom of a teacup, that mums don't always know what's best for their daughters, that family can often surprise us and be there when needed most, and that a tie does not maketh the man. It's a Seidenstecker pink shirt. Brilliant. Thank you so much, folks.